This is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Rochelle.
And on today's episode, Ashley's going to be talking about the yogurt shop murders, and I am going to be it's a little cheat episode for me, but I'm going to be reading off some creepy kid tweets.
Kids are creepy.
So creepy.
So creepy. And I have a personal story, so this will be fun.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yay.
I was just going to say, I have a story. It's not something a kid said, but it was this kid. Okay, I'm just going to tell it right now.
Aww.
So we had some friends over. They were staying the night.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, and their two kids were staying the night. And I'm sleeping. The kids are in the bedroom. The dad's out on the couch because we had like a bunch of people. They all came because they were traveling. Anyway.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID. And so I'm sleeping in bed, and I feel like a pressure, and I just figured it was my cat jumping up on the bed, and it like kind of walked up, and I was like, oh, it's my cat. So like I went to pet, and like nothing was there. So I opened my eyes, and this fucking little kid is just standing there staring at me. And I go, oh shit. And this kid's like 7 or 8, and he goes, Daddy? And I was like, nope, let's go get your dad.
Aww.
Good thing you don't sleep in the nude.
Right? Scared the shit out of me.
That's so funny. My favorite is still the one where Cody scared you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I still freak out about, like, when I have to go to the bathroom at night, I'm still like, okay, there's Cody. Oh gosh.
Okay.
All right. So Jessica and Rochelle told me that they have both heard of the yogurt shop murders, which, whatever. But if you haven't, it's interesting.
Treat.
It's really sad, like really, really sad what happened to these girls. But it's an unsolved case. It was never solved, but there has been some what's the word I'm looking for?
Development.
Thank you. Development in the case. So we'll talk a little bit about that. It's not a lot, but there's a little bit. So I got my information from a documentary, 48 Hours, called Innocence Lost. It was pretty good. Also, an article by Tony Polotsky in Go San Angelo. That's what I wanted. And then I also got a little background information from the podcast Crime Junkie. Do you guys listen to Crime Junkie?
No, I've never heard of Crime Junkie.
I mean, I don't listen to anything anymore because I don't have my work commute anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But when I had my work commute, I was getting into them. I think I made a shout out to them in our first episode, which has since been taken off the air. So
it was so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rochelle, Crime Junkie is two girls, Ashley Flowers and Brittany. Can't think of her last name, but it's a serious podcast. It's not like a funny one, and they go through different crimes and tell like what happened. It's really good. You should check it out.
Oh, yeah, I will.
They're very
I'm always looking for
interesting.
new podcasts. So
Yeah, it's a good one.
I like them.
Yeah. All right. So, Austin, Texas, 1991 was a big city with a small town feel. And I feel like you hear that a lot from people, but that's one of the things they said in the documentary. So I was like, well, I'll put it in. Jennifer Harbison and Eliza Thomas were working the night shift at a local yogurt shop. I think it was called I Can't Believe It's Yogurt, like the butter.
Cool.
I can't believe it's not butter, but it's
Yeah. And both girls were 17. And Jennifer's younger sister Sarah, who was 15, was at the mall, the local mall, kind of shopping around with her buddy Amy Aries, 13. And they were going to head over to the yogurt shop after it closed, kind of help them clean up, but really they just needed a ride home. So they headed over to the yogurt shop, and Jennifer and Eliza were kind of closing up shop, cleaning. There was still a little bit going on. They got there a little early, so they were just kind of hanging out in the back. And there's a couple witnesses that came in around that time. So shortly before they closed, there was a lady that came in just to pick up some ice cream to go, which, yes,
I thought it was
please,
a
ice cream to
yogurt
go.
shop.
Well, sorry, yogurt to go.
She couldn't believe it.
frozen yogurt. It's basically ice cream, right?
Frozen yogurt is so good.
Oh my gosh, when you can put all your toppings on it.
Oh, yeah. Rochelle, do you have a Menchie's where you are?
We had a Menchie's. We no longer have a Menchie's.
Oh, it was so good. I've been like
We
craving
just have
Menchie's.
yolk and frizz now.
Oh, see, we don't even have that.
Not in your movie theater?
Well, in the movie theater, but the movie theaters are shut
Ooh.
down.
Fancy.
Ooh,
We have Sweet Frog is a big one here.
Oh, cool.
Sweet frog?
Yeah.
Ribbit?
Yep, and they have like little mascot frog. It's really cute.
Adorable. I really like using like the in the movie theater for yogurt fruits. I like to get the chocolate yogurt and mixing it with bananas and raspberries. It's the best.
Ooh.
So
I
good.
always get that.
Yeah.
What do I do? Usually just strawberries and chocolate, but
Nice.
so good.
So good.
I make mine, and my husband said this. He's like, yours looks like a child made it. Because I put all the crap in it that like little kids would like.
That's so funny.
When I was in university, we had like a yogurt place at school, which is very hard not to.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was Coolers.
Now I
I've
want
never
frozen
seen
yogurt.
one ever anywhere else.
Really?
Yeah.
But yeah, so the lady went to pick up some frozen yogurt to go. And
Froyo.
she said and she said that there were two. Now this differs from story I've heard. I heard teen boys, and then I also heard men. So I'm not sure like the age range, if they were, how old they were ish. But I heard both. So she said it was two teen boys sitting at a table, like a booth closest to the register. They weren't eating anything. They were just kind of looking at each other, and they had a sack in between them. And one boy was just like playing around in it with his hand. And she said it sounded like there were like marbles or something in it. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then another couple came in right, almost right before it closed, and said that they saw the same two boys. And the lady was like, yeah, I was just sitting there eating my yogurt, and I was kind of eavesdropping on the girls' conversation. Like you do.
Yeah.
And she said it also kind of looked like the boys were eavesdropping a little bit. And she said that they gave her kind of an eerie feeling, and she almost went up to the girls and asked if they were okay, but she decided not to. She figured she was just like overreacting. So yeah, so her and her couple, whoever it was, left. And at 10:50, the girls locked the door from the inside, which is what they were supposed to do, so that like no other customers could come in. And they know that they did lock the door because the keys were still in the lobby door when the police got there. So I'm assuming like, you know, that you lock the door and then you keep the keys in, and then when people leave, you like unlock it and let them out.
Right. Yeah.
The booth that the men or boys were in still had an empty napkin holder, and the chair was down. And where all the rest of the booths, the napkin holders were filled up and the chairs were up, signifying that they were probably still there while the girls were cleaning, because they cleaned up everything else except for that one booth.
Yeah.
And they also saw a transaction on the register that at 11:03 p.m. Eliza opened the cash drawer as a no sale. And there was $540 missing from the register.
Oh.
Wow.
So kind of the way the events took place that night was someone saw smoke coming from the building, and so they called 911 about a fire, right? Because that's what you would do. So the firemen came. They were the first there. At this point, it was just a fire. So they were trampling all over the scene. They were using their water hoses to put out the fire, because at this point the fire was burning the whole building, and it was in a strip mall. So, you know, it would have easily spilled over into other businesses. So they were trying to really put that fire out quickly.
That's clever.
Yeah. Yes.
That's very clever.
So as one of the firemen walked through the scene, he came across a single charred foot.
Yeah.
And
Ugh.
as he continued to walk through, he found another body and then another charred body. They were naked and stacked on top of each other. And the bodies were burnt so badly that they had melted into the floor.
Oh, God.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Imagine that smell.
Yeah. And he said, they interviewed him years later, and he said when he thinks about that case, like, the immediate thought that comes into his head is the image of that charred foot that he first saw. So Sarah was by the back door, Eliza was on top of her, and Jennifer was next to them. Amy was furthest away towards the back. And they don't know if Jennifer was originally stacked on top as well, but maybe like the fire hose knocked her body over or something along those lines.
This is weird that they're stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very weird. And also Amy, who was the other one that wasn't by the rest of the bodies, was the least burnt of them. So they got the most information from Amy's body. The Emmy did a rape kit on scene because they didn't want to move the bodies and risk ruining more evidence than was already ruined. And they did find out that at least some of them were sexually assaulted. Some were so badly burned that they couldn't tell. So possibly all of them were sexually assaulted. Each girl was shot in the head. Amy was shot once on the side of the head, and then a second larger gun was shot into her head as well. So she was shot twice. She was also struck and strangled before being shot. And again, the other bodies were burnt so badly that they couldn't tell if they also were strangled or beat beforehand. They couldn't tell, but with Amy's they could. Unfortunately, they didn't swab the bodies for accelerant because everybody said it didn't smell like accelerant. So they didn't swab the bodies for accelerant. No one dusted the bathroom for fingerprints. They didn't keep the lock on the back door because maybe that had been tampered with. They didn't save a lot of the materials found around the girls' bodies, and nobody wore like booties around in the scene.
Why?
That's just irresponsible.
Yeah, so that coupled with the water and the firemen just destroyed this crime scene.
Yeah.
One detective described the scene as wholesale carnage. So this happened in 1991. And like I said, there were the two men, but nobody was ever able to identify who they were. So they went through a bunch of customers and witnesses, and they could identify everyone except for these two men.
Okay.
So the detective at the time said that there was dozens and dozens of false confessions, which he said that people would come in and be like, yeah, I did it, I want to be tough. And then when it came down to it, they'd be like, no, I didn't really do it. They had 6 written confessions that turned out not to be true. And they went through 342 suspects.
See, I never understood, like, through all of our stories, why people confess when they didn't do it.
Especially if the police aren't like I can see where people get coerced from the police, like doing crappy police work or whatever, but just to come forward and be like, hey, I did it.
Yeah, for sure. It's super
Guys,
weird.
people like want the attention so bad, like they're willing to do literally anything.
It's crazy. They thought at maybe one point it was a notorious serial killer named Kenneth McDuff, who I've never heard of, so I might do an episode on him later. Because have you guys ever heard of him?
No.
Don't think
He
so.
sounds Scottish, though, and I like the Scots.
Not advocate for a serial killer before
No.
we know about him.
No, of course not, but, you know,
Oh, gosh.
Scottish men.
I do like a good Scottish accent.
Yeah. My husband will do a Scottish accent for me sometimes if I'm sad.
Oh,
So, that's nice.
that's so nice. Yeah, so they thought it might have been him, but he said if I had done it, I would tell you because I would be proud of it. So it wasn't him. And none of the evidence, the small amount of evidence that they did have, pointed to him. But they also thought that maybe it was 16-year-old Maurice Pierce, who was arrested at North Point Mall with a gun. That same, like, time period. He had a gun hanging out in the mall. But the ballistics didn't match up. So 8 years.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do they have did they have camera footage?
No, I don't think they had cameras at the time.
So-
it was
I
1991.
was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
But you know, like they could have been destroyed in the fire anyways.
Yeah, but like it could have been that couple that say that they witnessed these two boys.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That's interesting.
I've never thought about that either until now. It's like,
Yeah, who is suspect like a couple?
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, like, they could identify everybody else except these two people, so it just seems weird to me.
Yeah. Well, there was that other lady that also pointed out the two boys, too. So there was, like, a couple witnesses that said that they were there.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, I never heard mention of a camera. So either they didn't have it or, like Rochelle said, it was burned up in the fire. Because I never heard any mention of a camera.
Yeah, it just seems weird that fire was so accelerated, though.
Yeah. 100%. And the town even took out a billboard with the girls' 4 pictures on it, and underneath was written, "Who killed these girls?"
Ew.
So, like, everybody was trying to figure this out. 8 years after the murder, police arrested 4 suspects. Forrest Welburn, Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott. Yes, his name is Michael Scott. If you watch The Office, those Michael Scotts from The Office. And Maurice Pierce, that 16-year-old that they had originally questioned. And they had actually looked at all 4 of these kids 8 days after the murder, but they had been dismissed. And the original detective of the case was taken off the case because they felt like he wasn't doing enough. But the reporter who was talking in the 48-hour special said that this, like, took over his life. He was doing everything he could. He just didn't have any leads. So these new detectives that came on the case, again, like I said, 8 years later, decided to arrest these boys. And they don't ever really talk about why or what, like, pushed them back in that direction. They just said that they were arrested. And Michael Scott confessed. He said, "I remember looking at this girl. I hear the gun go off. I only pulled the trigger once. I hear another gun go off. I think I hear a total of 5 shots." He said it started as a robbery. They cased the shop earlier and jammed the back door open. And the back door was jammed open. Robert Springsteen also confessed and said that he not only killed her, but he raped her. Unfortunately, this was really sad. The family said that they learned once these guys confessed that the girls had suffered. They had kind of tried to imagine that it was painless and, like, you know, they just got shot and that was it. But they found out that, you know, they were raped. And I don't know that the police had released that information. So
That seems weird that you would withhold that type of information, though.
yeah, and I mean, maybe they did, and the family was just kind of trying to, I don't
Block it
know.
out.
Yeah. However, Forrest, who was 15 at the time of the crime, said he was innocent. And actually, during Michael's confession, he had to be prodded quite a few times to actually say that Forrest was there. They tried to indict Forrest, but didn't have any evidence, so the case against him was dropped. And same with Maurice. The police were sure that he was the mastermind behind it all, but they didn't have any evidence, and he never confessed, so the case was dropped against him.
Huh.
So in May of 2001, Robert Springsteen went to trial. At the time of the murders, he was a 17-year-old high school dropout. And he had rescinded his confession. He said, you know, I didn't actually do this. I was coerced by the police. They, like, you know, made me say this. And they didn't have any physical evidence found at the crime. So they couldn't, like, corroborate the story. And so they asked him in this report, like, why did you confess then? And he said he doesn't understand why. He said there's psychological aspects to it that he just doesn't understand.
What?
Yeah, on, like, why he confessed when he didn't do it.
That's weird.
Yeah. But in his confession, he did demonstrate the position of Amy's body. And he knew that she had been shot with a .380 handgun. So how did he know those details?
Yeah, because I mean, if they're not going to release the whole sexual assault aspect to the family, how would any of that information be released to the public?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
they may have released. That was just my guess. I don't know. They may
Yeah.
have released it.
Unless he was there and just didn't
Right.
participate.
Well, according to his lawyer, so take this with a grain of salt because he was his lawyer, the details were known to any kid who had interest in the case. They were on the streets details. And
Ew.
I do quotes because he said, like, on the street. Like, they were street details. Everybody knew it.
Okay. Gross.
Shockingly, Springsteen took the stand, and he wasn't received well. The family described him as cocky, slimy, and confident. And Michael Scott's statements against him were presented, but Michael Scott didn't take the stand, so the lawyer couldn't cross-examine him, and this becomes a big factor later on. So after 13 hours, the jury deliberated and found Springsteen guilty and sentenced him to death.
Oh.
A year and a half later, Michael was convicted as well, but he only got life in prison. But he also recanted his confession, too.
Life? Okay, so sentenced to death, and this was 2001, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But a little bit later, Springsteen's death sentence was changed to life in prison. So they must have, who knows what the courts were doing at the time. But, and in a 5-4 decision, it was decided that Michael Scott's constitutional rights were violated during trial, as well as Springsteen's, and that they should get a new one. They said because their confessions were both used against them in trial, but they weren't able to cross-examine each other, so they weren't able to confront their accuser, basically. So it violated their rights, so they were getting another court case.
What?
Huh?
Like, wait, what? Sorry. They couldn't. Oh, because they were going against each other.
Yeah, so like they used Michael's confession saying that Springsteen was there, and they used Springsteen's confession saying that Michael was there, and they used that in each other's court cases. Like the prosecution used that to be like, see, even Michael Scott said he was there, but then Michael Scott didn't take the stand in in Robert's trial, and Robert didn't take the stand in Michael's trial, so they weren't able to like cross-examine.
Right.
Yeah. So the detective there the night of the crime, the one that they took off the case, doesn't believe the confessions. He said that Michael Scott at one point said that they went into the yogurt shop office, but the detective said no one went in that office. It was locked, and when they got there, they actually had to use a key to get into the office area. So that was one part of his confession that wasn't correct. He also said that one of the quotes said, "I had a Zippo lighter with me. I heard a whoosh sound of the accelerant when it caught fire." And Jones said that accelerant is, he actually said, "I think that's more than a 2-syllable word, and I don't think he knows more than 2 syllables." And he said that accelerant is cop talk. Like most people would just say the lighter fluid.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. So he thinks that he was kind of like prodded or coerced into confessing.
Okay.
But also, again, take his ideas with a grain of salt as well, because he was blamed in not catching these guys. So it would look better for him if they didn't do it than if they had done it. He questioned them and let them go.
Okay.
So,
You do you, boo.
yeah. And he also said that when he did talk to the boys those 8 days after the murders, they didn't say anything about, like they did years later in their confession or anything like that. And he said, as an adolescent, I feel like you're more likely to break and say something than you are as a grown man who has gotten away with it for 8 years.
Yeah.
But who knows? They also decided to do this newfangled thing called DNA tests. They did have some DNA that they were able to recover from the scene, but the DNA does not match any of the 4 boys.
Oh.
So prosecution says, well, there must have been a 5th.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So more than 100 men had been tested. So they tested like lab techs, crime scene people in case there was like contamination or DNA transfer. No one matched. And after months of delays in the case, the judge released Michael Scott and Robert Springston without bail to await a new trial. But prosecutors ended up dropping all charges because there wasn't enough evidence. However, they are sticking to the 5th man theory. They think that it was still those 4 boys plus 1 more because that's the one the DNA matched, which I think is kind of asinine.
It's so stupid. It's like they just need to place blame somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very far-fetched, I think. I think if they actually took the time to look around that crime scene, they'd probably find a little more.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like this big scapegoat, right? Because they didn't do their jobs properly and just kind of destroyed the crime scene and didn't take enough samples and gather enough evidence.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's like, do you ever hear that in another case? Like, if DNA comes back and it's not that guy, and like, well, it was still him, but it was also another person. Like, it's not. No. That's not how that works.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
So one of the new developments, which is kind of interesting, they decided to use a new type of DNA testing called YSTR, which basically searches for male relatives. So it's kind of like the mitochondrial DNA that can search for female. This one can search for male relatives. And the National Center for Forensic Science at the University of Central Florida has a YSTR database containing 29,000 samples for population research. And on their website, it says that they have samples from government, commercial, and academic resources throughout the United States, and that all forensic laboratories and institutions are invited to contribute. There is a disclaimer that says that it does not function as a law enforcement database and cannot be used to identify a particular individual whose sample is in the database. All donors are anonymous and cannot be traced back to specific individuals.
Oh.
Yeah. But the detectives decided to enter their DNA just to see what happens, and they got a hit. It matches someone in the database. So
what is the point of the database if you can't, like, determine whose it is?
I think it's just for, like, research to have, like, a broad database of DNA that they can kind of look at.
So
I don't really know exactly what they do with it, but so the detectives actually contacted them and said, hey, can we get the like profile on this DNA? And they were like, well, we can give you what information we have, but we need some kind of like court order for it. So the detectives and the DA sent a grand jury subpoena, and the sample turned out that it was given by a forensic analyst at the FBI.
No.
Yeah. So, and my first thought was, oh, it was someone that worked the case. But they already tested everybody that worked the case, and the FBI wasn't there. Right? It was just like the local police and stuff.
I have an idea.
What's your idea?
Oh. Well, I was going to say it was that Scottish dude. And because he was like in town, he was like, oh, let me go do this elsewhere. But then that guy was caught and they had him. But because he was a serial killer, this FBI agent could have been in town investigating his case.
Oh, that's a great point.
Right?
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
So is this? They said I got a hit, but it could be like a relative, though. Could it
Right.
not?
Yeah. So it could be any male relative of this person. So it might not have been that FBI analyst. It could have been like one of his male relatives.
Still, it's an interesting theory.
Yes, I do like that theory. So the detectives called up the FBI and they're like, bro, like, we need to know this. And the FBI would not disclose the information of who gave the samples.
Conspiracy.
The FBI cited a 1994 federal law which required officials to protect the identity of anonymous donors whose DNA was submitted to the Florida database. So the investigators decided...
What's the point of even having these
Right?
What's the point of having them if you can't do anything with them?
They're supposed to be just for
Send us your
research.
It's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. So the investigators were like, okay, well, we're not going to stop here. So they actually contacted the United States Representative Michael McCall of Austin, who is the chairman of the House's Homeland Security and oversees the FBI.
Oh, cool.
So they contacted him and they're like, hey, can you help us out? And he was like, dude, yeah, like I have a teenage daughter. I want to know what happened here. I'm going to write a letter to the FBI and say, like, help them out in any way that you legally can. However, the FBI said, well, we did help you out as much as we legally can, so sorry, not sorry.
Ugh.
And they have been going back and forth with the investigators for 3 years now.
I hate them.
And that's all we have. And that is it for the yogurt murders.
That really bugs me because, like, you can help solve this case. Like,
Yeah.
just like your
Because
superiors
the
basically
family
being like,
they
do
have
it.
the family has like no closure on what happened.
Yeah.
These other guys, like, if they didn't do it, their reputations have been, demolished. Like, I'm sure they can't go anywhere in Austin.
I hate it.
And they spend some time in prison for something they didn't do. I mean, the one guy was on death row. Like, that would really fuck with your psyche, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Ew. Okay.
interesting story.
All right. Are we ready to be creeped out by some creepy children?
I guess, but like all this
Yes.
creepiness, it's really getting to me at night, man.
Okay. I know. I had like I've been having like nightmares since I started this podcast, and I've like never had nightmares. Like, I used to have them a lot as a kid, but not as an adult. And now I've been having a lot.
Oh no.
Like, I think I had one last night, but it wasn't like so scary that it like woke me up, but it was just like creepy.
Yeah.
I had a creepy night, like not like a nightmare, but like a really creepy, weird dream last night. Like, Dustin's sister's getting married in July, and so I had a dream that we were at her wedding, and then like one of the guests had to bring his like 2-year-old dead kid as a guest. And it was like in a casket and everything, and then it would just like sit up and start to talk. And I don't know why or where that this had to be at the wedding. And the fact that nobody seemed alarmed that like this dead child would just like sit up and have a little bit of a say in what was going on every once in a
Nobody
while.
cared.
Yeah, it was
That's
very
horrifying. Oh, taking those dead photos to a whole new level.
Yeah, right.
weird. Yeah.
Yeesh.
Oh goodness. All right, well, speaking of creepy kids, let's hear more.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Yay.
Yeah, that was like the beginning of
Yeah.
the creepy.
I'm going to tell my story first, my personal
Okay.
story. My mother told this to me a few times. So when I was younger, so I'm the creepy kid here. When I was like a young kid, like 2 or something, like I had my heart issues, right? Like I wasn't supposed to live past like a year or two. And apparently I like And, like, apparently the doctors never talked medical around me, so I didn't know what was going on. Like, I didn't know anything. And I come up to her and I'm like, don't worry, Mummy. My guardian angel told me to tell you, like, not to cry and that I'm not going to die.
Oh
Or
my God.
something along those lines. Like, I'll be okay. And then another time, apparently, I was going down for a nap and I was, like, frantically looking around the room, be like, where is she? Where is she? My mom's like, who? Like, who are you looking for? And I'm like, my guardian angel, where is she? And all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh, there she is. And then just, like, went to sleep.
Oh my
No.
god. No, thanks. Your poor mother must have been like,
And apparently...
At least it was a guardian angel and not like a
Yeah.
creepy old lady or something.
Well, exactly. And apparently it was, like, a really, like... It was a name that a 2-year-old just couldn't have come up with, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it just wasn't a very common name. She's like, I wish I had remembered to write it down, but I didn't. So she doesn't remember the name. But I was a creepy kid, apparently.
Sounds like it. Jeez.
that's like, especially because you were so young too, like stuff like that coming out of like a really young
Yeah.
child who really shouldn't know what a guardian
Yeah,
angel
So
is.
creepy.
So I collected a bunch of tweets from boredpanda.com.
Ooh.
They collected a bunch of tweets for me, which was great, of creepy kids. And so, never mind.
Do you guys ever go on List First?
On what?
No.
List First. It's just like a website full of different
Oh,
lists
no.
of things. And like I get sucked into that
Oh.
so easily. Just reading like the top 10 weirdest things here, like the top 10 creepiest blah blah blah, or top 10
No,
whatever.
send it to me.
And then it just continues. Like I just read like the recommended ones at the bottom, and then I just get like forever sucked into a loophole of like
Oh, I would
lists.
like that.
I
I always
would
get sucked
too.
into those BuzzFeed ones.
Yes.
So I'd like those.
Oh yeah.
My husband reads the Chive every day.
Oh, yeah.
And they have like a bunch of different lists and stuff of pictures and creepy facts, and it's just like, yeah, he's given me a couple of like episode
love
recommendations
lists.
from it. So
Oh, cute. I was looking at my camera, and don't I look like I'm positioned in a scary movie for like something to pop up right here in the
yeah, like a
background?
ghost or a poltergeist.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Or,
You do.
ooh, or a burglar that could end up being your husband.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Because the light's out in this room, so it's really dark in here, and it's
Yeah.
just like the way I'm positioned, like something should just pop up right here, and I just freak
Yes.
myself out.
Have you seen that movie where it's like the deaf girl and she can't hear the like serial killer?
Oh,
like, in her
I didn't watch
house?
it, but I know what you're talking
No.
about.
Yeah,
That's
that.
terrifying.
Ugh,
Well,
no
if you see
thanks.
anything in the background, let me know.
Ashley, what's behind you? Okay, so
Okay,
that
sorry.
reminds
Creepy
me.
kids while I'm in a creepy room.
Okay, I was researching this in my studio, which is my husband's closet, at like 11 o'clock at night, and it was dark in there because I didn't want to turn on the light. And I'm researching this stuff and reading through these, and I'm like, I'm gonna turn on the light, and it was still equally as creepy. So,
Yeah.
all right, so this is Allison's Scap. When my son was 3, he started singing a Polish nursery rhyme that my husband's grandmother used to sing all the babies in the family. She passed away before my son was born, and we don't speak or sing Polish.
No thanks.
Grandma, go away.
Eat that one.
That one.
should we rate him on a scale from eating to
Yes, yeet the baby out the house, or...
Eat the baby.
Okay, I'm gonna rate it like a 7.
a 7 on a scale of 1 to yeet?
Okay, because
Yeah.
it's not that like at least it's
Yeah.
a sweet thing. Like, oh, she used to sing that to the unless, but like, do they speak Polish? Do they know she wasn't singing some sort of like weird?
Well,
curse
and
to
that's the
babies?
thing. They said we don't speak or sing Polish, but they knew it was a nursery rhyme that their grandma used to sing to them.
And nursery rhymes are
Well,
They
that's what
fun.
she-
are,
yeah.
dude. So dark.
Especially the German ones.
Oh, phew.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yas, da.
Das?
Yes.
Okay, so what are we rating that one?
like a 4.
Okay.
Yeet it like a football.
Oh, you're
So
yeeting it?
10?
Kind of soars across the field. Soars across the field.
All right.
Not too bad. Not too hard to catch, but like.
Perfect. All right. So, Kate, but the tired version says, walking with my 2-year-old in a cemetery by our house.
Why?
Because it's pretty.
My childhood home, well, like the house that I mostly grew up in, which is the house that my parents still live in, are on a cemetery road.
I'd hate that.
It took a while to get used to, and now it's just like, let's go for a walk through the cemetery.
So, walking with my 2-year-old in a cemetery by our house, she says, Mommy, who is that man in the red jacket by the stone house? She pointed to a mausoleum. There was no one else in the cemetery. Oh, look, he's waving at me. She waved back. Oh, and he's coming over to talk.
I give that a 6. Don't come near me, ghost man.
I give that a solid yeet.
Yeet.
Yeet. Yeet. That's like kicking a soccer ball because you want to get it as far away from you, like as quickly as possible.
It's like, don't. Like,
Yeet.
and he's in a red jacket. That just reminds me of The Clown. Like, it.
The Thriller music
Oh.
Oh,
video.
yeah.
I like the Thriller better because the clown is terrifying.
Pennywise.
Yeah.
So funny.
Did you guys ever see the meme of like people thirsting over him because it's Bill Skarsgård and he had his like shirt off, so it was like all like ripped and like abs, and then he had the Pennywise face done up.
Ew.
Oh,
It was so creepy.
God. Do you know he like does that with his eyes
Yeah.
like in real life?
That's so creepy. I still think he's super hot, but whatever.
Well, no. Especially
You don't think Bill Skarsgård's hot?
No.
Oh God.
No, I don't really think he's hot either. Oh,
What?
controversy.
Have you guys ever seen Hemlock Grove?
No.
No. I've not even heard of it.
Oh, it's a
actually.
show. It's really good. It's on Netflix maybe, but he's in that and he plays like a vampire creature and he's really hot in that.
Yeah, the girl that.
Dad's in Mamma Mia.
Yes, he is.
He is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is he in Mamma Mia?
He plays Bill.
One of the possible fathers in
Oh,
Mamma
his
Mia.
dad.
Yeah.
I missed that part
Yeah,
and
his
then my
dad.
brain just filled it in for me.
Okay, so the next one is from Phonetics. He said, back in the day, my younger brother used to tell us about his other grandparents and the blue house they used to live in. After always telling him he was making it up, he told our mother he could bring her there. So we went for a drive. And this little 5-year-old psycho gave her turn-by-turn directions for close to 45 minutes. We ended up 4 to 5 towns away at a dead-end street with an abandoned blue house.
That's a yeet. That's a yeet for
Yeah.
me.
Eat that one.
Isn't it
That one.
creepy?
Yep. Hitting the baseball out of the park. Eat that one.
Like, imagine. And it's abandoned.
Now, did it say the 5-year-old psycho in the story, or did you add that flair, Jessica?
No, it said, and this 5-year-old little psycho.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is Young MT. I was hiking alone in the woods with my son, who was 7. It was eerie quiet. Out of nowhere, he says, "The woods demand a sacrifice."
Oh my God.
Right?
I like that one. That's a good one. I'll keep that.
That kid's
kid.
funny. That kid's funny.
But, like, you just know that kid watched, like, was in the background, like, behind the couch, while his parents watched a creepy movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did it say how old he was? Did I miss that?
7.
7?
7.
Yeah, that kid's just being funny. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, Chris.
The woods demand a sacrifice.
Christiana
We'll keep that one.
Christiana says 1991, worked at a pediatrician's office screening a 5-year-old for therapy. He lived in the country with no friends. He was homeschooled. The parents had no TV. Mid-screen, he looks at me and says, "Your brother saved my life in Desert Storm," which I guess is from the war.
Yeah, that's like a military.
Yeah, it
thing.
was like a war thing by the United States.
Yeah, and then
I don't know. I'm going to take that out because I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to sound like an idiot.
I think you're right. It was something like that.
Yeah. So she says, "I went cold and pale. My brother was in Iraq."
It's creepy.
So that's creepy.
I'll give that one a 7. I'm going with 7.
I want to like where
Yeah.
5 years ago, like when that kid was born, where was the brother?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Reincarnation, man.
Honestly, I feel like I'm from like the 1700s. I just like, or the 1800s. I just feel it in my bones.
Yeah, they say if you like really connect with a specific era, then there's a chance that like you were around in that era.
I was obsessed with ancient Egypt as a kid.
Me too. Me too. My whole room was like done up like that.
Maybe.
I wanted to be an archaeologist so bad.
Same. I got accepted into the archaeology program at Simon Fraser in BC, but my high school didn't send my transcript in on time, and when I told them to, so I wasn't guaranteed residency. So that sucked.
Yeah.
So I would have been homeless, but I would have been a student of archaeology. So that was fun. But anyways, yeah, I have Egyptian paintings on papyrus, and I have them framed, and they're so cool.
Cool.
That's really cool. That's cool.
All right,
Yeah.
so welcome to the vanity said. As a child, I woke up in the middle of the night to a tall man at my bed rubbing my leg.
No. No.
She said, "I was afraid to scream. My parents never believed me, but my older brother fit the description. He died before I was born. I slept in his room and his old toys would often light up by themselves."
But why would her brother be rubbing her leg?
This isn't like a ghost thing, but when I was really young, I was deathly afraid of the tooth fairy. So my parents had to like tell me that the tooth fairy wasn't real really early on because I was like horrified that this woman would come into my room and like stick her hand under my pillow. And
That's so funny.
I remember having nightmares back then of like waking up and finding her like sleeping on my bed, like. And then my parents were afraid that they would have to like spoil Santa Claus and like everything at the same time. But for some reason, it was just the tooth fairy that I couldn't handle the
So
idea of.
funny. Not a big burly man breaking into your house to give you toys.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, it's like the little fairy woman like going like rooting around under my head.
That's so funny. Well, she is kind of creepy. She collects like teeth from your mouth.
Teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yucky. Ugh. All right,
Why does she need those teeth?
she doesn't. So
She is creating the DNA database.
There you go.
that's one that we can use.
That's where they're getting it from. Conspiracy alert.
All right, so what do we rate that on a yeet scale?
That's
That's
like
like a little yeet.
Like a little 4.
A little.
that. What,
yeah,
the
that's just
leg
like,
rubbing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm giving that a yeet. Yeet that bitch out. You don't want to know.
But it seems weird to me that she was saying it's a tall man, but then the toys light up in the room as though it was like he was young when he died. So it just...
I don't know. Maybe she's channeling
Or
Slender
he's just
Man.
trying to like lure the child into like death trap under the bed, like
Ew. Oh, I'm like so creeped out now.
down here.
All right, moving along. Michelle B. Young says, "When my daughter was 2, I found her under the table with one of my husband's old children's books, turning pages as if she was being read to. I asked her what she was doing. She said, 'Reading with Grandma.' My husband's mother died 2 years before she was born, and it was her book."
Aww.
That one's nice.
Yeah, that's a
Look at
nice
it.
one.
I'd say 2.
Yeah, I'd get like a 1 or 2 because it's nice.
Yeah. Ghosts are creepy though, so ugh.
Yeah.
So 2. All right. Kiri McCauley says, on several, there's a thing on my screen. It made the end look like On several occasions, my son referred to the guy in our old house. He's big like Daddy, but it's not Daddy. He'd tell me Guy was standing in the dark hallway. After no talk of it for several months, one day he suddenly looked up at the ceiling and whispered, Guy is back.
Oh no, okay.
That's terrifying.
I'm not happy with that. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm so creeped out.
Well, and
Okay.
for some reason, men ghosts creep me out more than women ghosts.
Except old lady ghosts.
There's some creepy women.
Oh, I
ghosts,
know. But if you
though.
say that a man ghost rather than a female ghost, I'm more creeped out.
Yeah, it's true. I'm like so creeped out right now. Okay.
I think I feel so like I got a new job, right, working in the a bed and breakfast here in Kingston, which is coincidentally a stop on the Haunted Walk.
Yeah.
And so like the last weekend I was working kind of like the evening shift, and we only had one guest, like one room occupied, and they were gone for most of the evening, so it's just me by myself in this 1879 Victorian mansion.
Ew.
That is a stop on the Haunted Walk, by the way. Yeah, so like taking care of that inn and like going around and being like, okay, like I don't want to
And you know the
find out
story.
if this is true or not now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that for you.
Because the story is it is a creepy child ghost too. It's like a little boy that like shows up in rooms crying, and then his
Ew.
mother.
Blech.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Mm.
I'm like...
It's so like for the first night, like every noise, I was like,
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't want to look anywhere.
Just shut your eyes and hide in the corner.
I want to shut my eyes. I don't want to do this episode anymore.
Eat the whole episode
Honestly.
right out the window.
Okay. So, oh gosh. This is the name she put for herself, by the way, not me.
Okay.
Mean fat girl.
Oh, jeez.
When my niece was 7, she asked us why we were keeping all the dead grandmas in the attic. Then she laughed.
You know she means something else.
Yeah.
Like, but like,
Honestly, though.
like she's probably thinking about like there's probably like a photo album or something that they like keep in the
Yeah,
attic where
there
they
you
were like,
go.
oh, this is so and so's grandma. But like,
That makes sense.
Collecting.
Oh,
Oh,
creepy.
gosh.
All right, I give
she
it.
just can't think of like how to say
I
it
give it.
properly.
I give it like a 5.
Yeah.
I think it's like a 5. Okay.
I'm picturing it like Pokemon gotta catch them all, and they're like collecting new grandmas.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Don't open that box of grandmas.
so funny.
They
Alright.
battle the grandmas. Who use the supreme grandma?
Scott against the grandmas.
Do you think like the stronger grandmas like absorb the weaker grandmas
for
and then become
sure.
like a super grandma
For sure.
ghost?
Like what was it, the Highlander, where you cut the heads off and like absorb their powers?
Oh, it's too funny. Oh, okay. Mama Cavalry said, putting my half-brother down for a nap, and he goes, I can't sleep with that mean little boy staring at me. And then points to the dark closet.
No.
We didn't take a nap and we went to the beach instead. And I'm like so creeped out. I
Yeah.
have a little closet next to me in my mother's office.
I'm in the closet.
Ugh. Gross. Ashley used to be in her closet, but no
I
more.
used to be, yeah.
No, my closet's full of clothes right now. I usually am not lazy and I clear it out before I do this, but
That's fine. We used to have
not this
I used to
time.
have clothes in my face all the time when we recorded. In the beginning. Okay. This person's username is Jin.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Speaks for itself.
This was my first. At the store. We'd had a nice day, picnic at the park. Suddenly, he grabs my hand, squeezes real hard, and says, "Mama, when you die, I'm gonna make a little you so I can keep you always, like with your skin and eyes, but probably not your insides." All smiles.
Oh my god, that kid is a serial killer in the making. He's gonna be the next Wild Bill making
I was gonna say, is it a Buffalo Bill, that mom?
Yeah, Buffalo Bill, not Wild Bill. That's a cowboy. Oh gosh, I hate that so much.
Like a little you.
I'll give that a 10 out of 10.
Definitely a solid 8 on my part.
I hate that one so much.
Yeah. It's very sweet, the sentiment.
Exactly. All right. Binge on Books says, once when my daughter was 4, she was waiting for me at the end of the hallway. When I reached her, I said, "Come on, kiddo, let's go." And she said, "Mom, I'm not waiting for you. I'm waiting for them." And then pointed at the empty hallway and smiled.
Them?
Yeah,
That's
them.
way creepier.
More. There's more than one.
That's the thing. There's more than one. It's so creepy.
I don't like that.
Ugh, I can just imagine a bunch of people just a spider crawling towards them.
Oh god. Why? Why did you do that?
Because there's something behind you.
No, there's not.
Yes, there is.
I knew there wasn't,
there
but I
is.
still my heart got a little faster. Earlier, my dog started snoring, but I have headphones on, so I can't hear it really well, and I just heard some growling, and I almost shit myself.
Oh, lovely. All right. Jen Britton says, woke up in the dead of night in total darkness. Thought someone had called for me, but all was quiet. Didn't notice that my 3-year-old had crept in and was standing directly beside my bed until he whispered into my ear, "I used to have a train set when I was a grandpa."
When I was a grandpa.
That's where I'd be so afraid I'd accidentally hit my child,
Right?
because you're sleeping, and you just hear something whisper, and I'd be, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
You'll legitimately yeet your child.
Oh,
So I give that a 7.
yeah, I'd say a 5. I'm gonna give that a 5.
It's all right. It's just another piece of evidence for reincarnation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think that it's just
It's not super
creepy in the dead of night and whispering
Yeah,
in the
that'd
Yeah.
be
ear.
creepy.
I don't want anybody whispering in my
No.
ear, let alone a child's
Yeah,
voice.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, the other night Cody was working and I was home alone sleeping, and I was in that phase between sleep and awake, and I swear to God I heard someone whisper my name.
Ew.
And I woke up and there was nothing there, and I was well, maybe something's wrong with Oliver, and something was trying to warn me, but he was fine. So I'm sure I dreamt it, but it was still really creepy and I could not fall back asleep.
All right. This is from Alac. I don't know. This is weird. At Leak Speaks. Who knows? Okay. It's not as creepy as the rest of these, but I was babysitting for my mom's coworker who's about 6 or 7. He was playing some video games when he got up and somehow locked us in the basement. Standing in front of the door, he slowly turned to me and said, "Now you're stuck with us." He was an only child, so I was confused as to who the fuck us was. I called his mom to say we're locked in the basement, and she goes, "I told him not to do that. He likes to keep everyone he likes down there."
Wait, what?
That's how you get a serial killer.
Right? Ew. I hate it.
He likes to, so the mom's just okay, this is a fine, normal
Yeah.
thing for my
The
kid.
mom's like, "I'm aware it happens. I told him not to, and he did it anyways."
Oh my gosh.
bring people down there.
So I'd definitely give that like a 9 out of yeet.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like
he's
that
a
either.
future serial killer for sure.
Okay. Rebecca Thompson says, I had just bought my kid a white stuffed bunny. His response, when I was your when I was your dad, I got you one just like this. Then you didn't see me anymore. My kid is named after my dad, who I didn't see for 12 years after he gave me the bunny. And we talked when I was 14 and he died the next year.
Oh my gosh.
So that's like,
Did she ever tell the child before about a bunny?
I have no idea. It's a tweet. I don't know.
Ah.
So definitely like a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another one of those like kind of sweet ones where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's forgivable because it's
Yeah.
cute and like sentimental,
Yeah, exactly.
sure.
but still odd.
Kind of creepy that your father is now your child, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was your dad.
Okay. Anne Wheeler says, you died in the war with the Star-Spangled Banner, Daddy. The men in red killed you, but then you came back. He's 4, and apparently my husband was killed by the British in the War of 1812. I think that's like a 2.
Yeah. He's probably learning about the Star Spangled Banner in preschool or something.
Yeah. Okay, Vanessa Rose Pine, or Pin, I don't know. She says, 6-year-old, I'm going to destroy the earth. Me. Wait, what's going to happen to me? 6-year-old, you'll burn with the world. Me. Ouch. 6-year-old, and then I'll move on to other planets.
6-year-old is dark.
Right? I like it, though. I give that a 1. I think it's funny.
Insert X-Files.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's too funny.
Then I'll move on to other planets.
Okay, so sign. Oh, that scared the crap out of me. My phone just
What, the thing
vibrated.
behind Ashley?
Shut up. I
There-
moved my
honestly-
phone around.
Honestly, though, there is like a dark shadow behind your head.
It's a fan. It's just right there.
Oh, okay.
No, on the other side.
Shut up, Rochelle. That's a wall. That's a wait. That's a wall. That's a ceiling fan.
Okay, that makes sense. And the fact that it just moved.
No, it did not. Stop it. I hate you guys so much. I used to not be easily startled. Like, nothing would startle me because my dad loves scaring people. But now, all of a sudden, I am super startled. Like, he just walks in a room and I'm like, oh God. Like,
Sorry.
what's going on? It's awful.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
Justin
funny.
tries to scare me like every chance he gets because he thinks my reaction's hilarious. Like, that's not fair. I don't choose how I react.
Oh, so funny. Okay. Sign Sister says, one of the twins I used to nanny would wake up before his brother, hide in darkened areas of the house, and make the noise like that kid from The Grudge. He would keep doing this until I found him, so I had to go into dark rooms looking for that sound.
Oh no. I used to do that to my little brother.
Ew.
Evil child. You that child.
Literally. Oh, that'd be horrendous. My husband laughs.
No,
at
he
that
knows
movie.
what he's doing.
Mhm.
Like, oh.
Okay. Iced Pound Cake says, I once asked a friend's son what he was digging for. He responded, dead bodies. What? You ain't ever seen a dead body?
That kid's parents are serial killers.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Stephen Scheel. Walking to school one morning, my daughter, then 7, asked me completely out of nowhere, would you rather live in pain or die in agony? Still not sure whether it was a question or a threat. But which is it? Would you rather live in pain or die in agony?
Do you want bad option 1 or worse option 2?
I think I'd rather die in agony because I feel like that'd
Yeah.
be shorter than living in pain.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, they didn't specify how big or small the pain.
True.
Or how
Yes.
long the pain was. Like if
Do
it
I
was
get
from
to choose?
the way you were born or at like a certain age or... Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like a threat. Okay, Madeline says, my mom sleeps in the basement with my niece and nephews whenever they stay at our house, and she said one morning, my 4-year-old nephew woke up and asked her, Nana, did you hear the walls talking to me last night?
No.
No, I did not, demon child.
Or Ashley's fan moving?
No, it's not, Jessica.
Rochelle, you saw it move.
I did see a move, yeah.
Whatever.
I wish there was a way to, like, scare you through the screen.
Yeah, like make something move or something behind me.
Oh, the leg thing pop up and go.
Oh, shoot.
All right, this is the last one. This is from Meg. It says, okay, so my family was still living in Europe before I was born. They were driving home from the Anne Frank house, and everyone in the car is asleep except my dad, who was driving, and my sister, who was about 4 at the time. Out of nowhere, my sister asks my dad, does God talk to you? And he said, sometimes, I guess. Does he talk to you? And she replied, no, but the dead people do. Right after leaving the Anne Frank house.
So why would she start out asking if God talks to you? And it's like, nah, me neither. But
It's like an ease into the conversation.
with something.
Or
like
maybe
good.
she needed like confirmation that like she wasn't hearing God, wasn't
Maybe,
this like
yeah.
like bunch of dead people that are chatting with her, and now she knows.
I loved all of that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be thinking about those creepy little kids tonight.
Oh, I know.
All right. Well, if you want more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on our website, Histories and Mysteries Podcast.GoDaddySites.com.
Go daddy.
Daddy. It has all of our information on where you can listen to us. It has a contact us. So if you would like to give us some recommendations for stories, or if you have anything that your creepy kid has said to you, we would love to hear it.
Love it.
Or you've said as a creepy
Yeah.
kid yourself.
Yes.
And if you want to rate and review us, that'd be great too. I think you can do it on Apple Podcasts. 'Cause any little bit helps.
Yeah. Share on social media.
Please
Do all that
tell
fun
your
stuff.
friends.
Tell your friends. Tell your mom. Tell your grandma.
Not the dead ones in the attic.
Dead grandmas. Oh, that song, like all the dead bodies on the floor, or whatever it is.
Let the bodies hit the
floor.
floor.
Yes.
Let the bodies hit the
Dead bodies.
Let the grandmas.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And also check out our TikTok at Histories and Mysteries Podcast for our ghost feature of the week.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful week, and we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.